Wyatt begins in like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Wyatt, and I'm your host, Wyatt O'Brien Evans. Woof, goddammit, woof, woof. Oh, yeah. My listeners. Today's Wyatt unwraps quite the delightful treat for you, Chris June. He's a quadruple threat of an entertainer, an actor, a filmmaker, speaker, and singer-songwriter. And this exceptional talent is going to rain down a plethora of insights and pearls of wisdom on us. So to give Mr. June the floor, I'm going to be quieter than usual. Now, let's see if I can do that. Well, Chris will be pulling up to the mic in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. And hey, after the show, visit my online home, WyattEvans.com, WyattEvans.com, the go-to destination for LGBTQ news, features, commentary, and entertainment. WyattEvans.com is visited by over 100 countries on the regular. Yeah, baby. And y'all, at WyattEvans.com, you'll find my smoking hot. That's HAWT hot. Nothing Can Tear Us Apart series of novels. And the current installment is titled Frenzy! I said Frenzy, which is teeming with and jam-packed full of masculine romance, intrigue, danger, and the blazing heat of 1,000 suns, all in the universe of erotic passion and steaming nastiness. Oh yeah. And Delirium is on its way to you next year. Yeah, I said Delirium, the new novel. More details to come. Oh yeah. A program note. Last time, as y'all recall, my sometimes part-time sidekick, Madam Pussy Galore Cock-a-doodle-doo, Drag Queen Supreme, got all upset, got all huffy and puffy, and stormed out of the studio. Thank God. She'll be back with us when she gets her act together, which might not be until the 12th of never. Anywho, let's get it on.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt, our special guest, Chris June, is a quadruple threat of an entertainer. He's an actor, filmmaker, speaker, singer, songwriter. And this brother is making waves in the Hotlanta entertainment industry. Now, Mr. June has significant acting credits. He starred in Raising Eli and About Him, 2 acclaimed and popular web series that present a stark, bold, and compelling portrait of the various nuances of gay, SGL, same-gender-loving life. He's also had roles on TV One's ATL Homicide and Netflix Raising Dion, which is executive produced by Michael B. Jordan. And now, let me tell you something. Chris is CEO of Residence Productions, which he established last year. Residence has filmed more than 50 different high-quality projects, including films, scenes, interviews, and political ads. And along with all that, he's attending the Savannah College of Art and Design, pursuing his Master of Fine Arts in Film and Television. And the guy has already earned a bachelor degree in psychology. So without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Chris June. Talk at me. How the hell are ya?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. That was quite the introduction.
Listen, well, listen. If you ever need a, like a PR guy, I'm right here for you.
I got you.
All right, we can always use another stream of income, my brother.
Listen, I
Anyway,
feel you.
well, you're quite the busy and eclectic guy. You wear a lot of hats, and what the hell drives you to do all of that?
Honestly, I just want to live out the fullest expression of who I am, the fullest expression of my personality. And I think it's important for you to do things just because you want to do them. I think we have this idea that everything that we're supposed to be doing is supposed to be bringing in money. But I think that it's more important that you expand as an individual into those different areas. Money may come, but just from being a person of value, from the context of your conversations changing because of what you have done, it literally opens you up to a much richer experience with life and with people.
Well, listen, that makes a hell of a lot of sense. So that our listeners can get a fuller flavor of you, let's travel through the corridors of time. You ready?
Yes, let's do it.
Very, very good. Now, Chris, you're a Metro DC native. So am I. So,
Nice.
what part of the metro area were you born and raised?
I was born in DC, but I was raised in Largo, Largo area, in
Right.
Georges County. Yeah, so I was there pretty much most of my life. I lived a little bit in Charlotte, about a year and a half, and then I went back to the DMV area to start physical therapy school, which was the one of the last things I did before my leap of faith to Atlanta.
Ah, okay. So, Chris, what was your childhood like? Any trials and tribulations, interesting experiences that helped shape you into the individual that you are today?
Most definitely, I felt I was always different. Oh, can you hear me?
I believe you froze on me here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I can now.
Okay. Yeah, I just always felt a little bit different. I was interested in things that everybody was, well, not everybody, but a lot of people were not necessarily interested in. And that had me spending a lot of time by myself. And during that time, I would draw or I would, you know, just be interested in science. My mom worked for NASA, so she would bring a lot of materials about the universe and about planets home. And that interest and appreciation for things that a lot of other people didn't appreciate, I've come to find justice in that trial now because it's that ability to find something worth appreciating and show it back to people in a way that they had not otherwise considered it, and they're able to resonate with it. But I definitely, at the time, it was difficult, um, growing up with my mom and my sister, and with them both being women having a much closer relationship, and of course, being heterosexuals, being able to really speak in detail about things involving relationships and friendships, and I just felt like that was always kind of like something that we just don't talk about. Um, when it came to my life. So that was definitely difficult, but I think it's all relative ultimately. You get to a certain place and you understand why things had to be that way, because we are the sum of our experiences.
Well put. Well put. Chris, I always like to ask my special guest the following question. And here it is. What was Chris like as a little boy, a little nipper? What three, yeah, what three characteristics or qualities would you say best described you?
Talkative. I was very
Ah,
talkative. I was always trying to teach my mom something that she already knew, and she was like, you need to be on a debate team or something like that. So I was definitely very talkative. Um, I was, I would say I was always interested in things that didn't necessarily fit the social construct of being a black man. I was on a swim team. I played ultimate frisbee in college. I kind of took the fact that I wasn't going to be asked to do those things by my peers, and as a rebuke, I was like, well, I'm going to do this anyway. I'm going to do something that's totally different, just to make me feel like it was my decision and it wasn't, yeah.
Ah.
And then the third
Ah.
thing I would say is I'm just I've always been really interested in learning. I loved watching History Channel growing up, National Geographic, um, and just learning about people, learning about their stories, learning about why people think. I really consider myself a mindset enthusiast as I've gotten older, and that's just continued to express itself, especially in the arts. It's a lot about people's behavior and why they think the way that they do, and how does that impact the way that they show up on camera, and then just show up in life. I love that what shows up in front of the camera, but I'm also interested in all the nuances and impact that go along with the people behind the camera as well, or just the people in your life. I really I live by how you do one thing is how you do everything. So I'm always kind of figuring things out in my head.
Well, first of all, you are definitely Mr. Communicator. You express yourself extremely well. And sure, I would imagine having a psychology degree actually gives you a leg up in the business because you can understand people, how they function, how they act,
Yeah.
all of that stuff.
Yes, it definitely has. And what was interesting was I originally majored in psychology because being growing up black and queer, you had people picking on you, and one of the ways I was like, if I can figure out why they're thinking the way that they're thinking, maybe that will provide me some peace or it would disarm the situation some. And so that's the original reason that I decided to get into it, but it's continued to just be a through line throughout my 20s and now early 30s, where I'm always, after the emotional onset of something that happens from a human being, thinking cerebrally, if I can say that, about why or what could make somebody think that way. And once you kind of evolve to a new understanding of it, then now you're in a place where I can understand why this happened and figure out what I can do differently to prevent it from then happening again in the future.
Mm, very smart, very smart. Now, speaking of your mom, I saw one of your great video interviews, and you were saying that you came out to your mom first when you were like
Yes.
19, and you said it was a dramatic experience, your mom falling out on the floor, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So give us the 411 on that.
Yeah. I was just sitting in the kitchen one day and she asked me, how come you never have a girlfriend around or anything? Are you gay or something? And just on that particular day, I decided to say yes. And so she had a very, you know, dramatic reaction to that. And of course, was contemplating a lot of different things that uh, took place in my life, suggested that I talk to my uncles because my uncles are ministers and, try praying the gay way.
Ah, okay.
And so that was her response.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I told my dad at 26, and his impression, he took it a lot easier. My mom had told me that he's not going to take it easy. He's not, and I lived with that for a long time. But then when I actually talked to him, I wrote him a long
Mhm.
letter, um, and he read the letter, called me, asked me, was it a joke? I'm like, why would I write a 4-page joke? At the end of the day, he basically said, if you're going to be gay, then be gay, but I can't respect somebody walking around with their head down. So he just told me, just be yourself, and it's incredible because now that letter that I wrote to him, it's been published in a magazine and just recently was turned into a film. Now, at the time, I had no aspirations of being an actor. I was working at SunTrust Bank trying to figure out how to be a personal banker. But fast forward 8 years from now,
Mm.
it's been turned into a film, and I got to star in it, and it's gone on to do really great on the film festival circuit.
Nice.
Yeah,
So now, what's the title of the film?
it's called Proud. Yeah, it's called Proud, and
Mhm.
it's narrated by me. So it's narrated. I'm reading the coming out letter, and there are visuals that complement the experiences from my childhood all the way up to where I have a partner, and uh, it's just it just helps people to because in the letter that I wrote to my dad, I was really detailing where he might go in his mind and think about particular things. And so I kind of rebutted every possible argument that I thought that he might have in and around it, and closed it out, hoping
Mhm.
that he would um, love all of me the way that I love all of him. Yeah.
Very good. Well, wow, that's powerful, my brother. Really powerful. Um, when did the acting bug, the entertainment bug, first bite you? And Chris, when did you know, like in your gut, that you had talent?
Oh, good question. I would say the acting bug definitely started nipping through elementary school up through high school. But what got me my first role acting was actually after I started doing some photo shoots, modeling, and I started posting videos on Instagram of me singing. I got reached out to by Tyson Anthony, who wrote about him, who wrote Raising Eli, and he asked me if I could act, and I was like, "Well, I don't really know, like, but I'm one of those people like you ask me to try something, I'm going to give it the best effort that I can." And so
Got it.
I did, and after some direction, I eventually got the part for Raising Eli. And then, can you give me the second part of your question again? The
Yeah, yeah. When did you know for certain in your gut
mhm.
that you had talent?
Oh, wow. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like you were just in a constant discovery of that. But I would say the first time that I got that validation was I used to go to my dad's side of the family house, my dad's side of the family, who's more musically inclined. And my aunt and one of my cousins, they sing. And I went over there, and as we were leaving, my mom mentioned, "Yeah, he'll be singing in the basement all the time." And then all of a sudden, my family all came over and was like, "You can sing? You can sing what?" Because I would sing in the basement of our house for hours, and I would just record on a voice memo on the computer, and I would just listen to it back and just keep trying to get better. And so they encouraged me to sing, and I started every time I would go over there, they kept asking me to sing. They kept asking me to sing, and then they kept telling me what they saw in me, and they were telling me that you can really do this. You really need to go for it. And that was one of the first times that I realized, once I started to accept it, like, okay, I got some talent. I can really do something.
Got it. Got it. But you went into physical therapy, so why didn't you just go straight for the gusto, so to speak? But you took sort of like a slight detour and you went into physical therapy.
Well, um,
Why?
I went into physical therapy because when I lived in Charlotte, I was interested in joining a master swim team because I swam for 6 years. I was a swim coach as well. I couldn't find a team that I really liked or wanted to be a part of, so then I considered being a swim coach. And being a swim coach got me interested in physical therapy because I thought it was kind of similar in a sense. And then I got into a program, moved back up to the DC area, but there was a series of events that were kind of happening over the course of a year right before I left. While I was working in physical therapy, I was working in physical therapy as a wound care technician, and my job was
Ah,
to wash the feet and legs of lymphedema patients and get them prepped and ready for the therapist. And over the course of that, it's a lot of older people I like to talk. So I would talk to them a lot. I would learn a lot about their life, about their experiences. Simultaneously, I started modeling. I started singing. I started acting, and so I was sharing this information with them. And it was about a year of me doing that. At the time in my personal life, the two best friends that I had, I introduced them to each other. They decided they would be better off best friends together without me. I was staying with my mom. She was selling her home. I took a semester off
ah,
from school. Everything was just really shutting down for me, opportunity wise, in the DC area. But I did have this one show with about him. And so I was talking to an older patient who came in, and I was sharing with her everything. And she said, "Baby, I've been all over the world. I did everything. Why have you not left yet?" So then shortly after that, I was actually at my friend's house and I was trying to think about everything that had happened and taken place. And I'm thinking about, I had this epiphany of when I was young. I used to go to Christian camp every year. And um, at 17, they had us do a homework assignment over the course of the year, which was a foot washing ceremony. We were supposed to have a foot washing ceremony at our church. I never had that ceremony. I never did that. And I didn't get to go on the missionary trip. But fast forward 10 years later, I'm like, I don't really know about God. I don't really. And then my last job before I moved to Atlanta was me washing feet and legs. And I didn't realize that till I had been working that job for an entire year. And then I made my leap of faith to Atlanta, and literally every experience has been a training ground to really build the type of character and gratitude or state of being that's necessary for literally everything that's taking place. Um, yeah,
wow, that is a hell of a story.
yeah,
Thank you for sharing that.
yes.
Um, okay, well, why Atlanta? Why not LA?
Well,
Why not start there?
Atlanta was where I booked about him, and because there I thought at the time that I was really connecting with the cast and that we were all going to be friends. And once I moved here, that was not the case because everybody already had their own lives. For me, I was the one who was coming from out of state. Everyone already had their own lives, so um, I was just kind of going with the flow, and that's. I had a friend who was on the cast who told me that I could come and stay with him, and get myself together and figure out where I was going to work and stuff like that. So I went with that. Well, actually, when I got here, he never answered the phone. So I had to figure out another way to find somewhere to live.
Oh
Um,
no.
yeah, but that ended up being really, really good. I moved into the house that I'm living in now. I've been here for 5 years, and now on top of that, my best friend from high school, we've known each other for 20 years. We've talked about doing this stuff together. She now lives with me, and we're actually out here doing it like we said we would. And because my production company is fairly new, I want to be here to hold its
Mhm.
hand and to walk it along. But people have told me, you would love LA, but then I've also heard other people say that I wouldn't like necessarily like the people. But I don't know. I guess maybe I have a Cali vibe, but at the same time, like I I love just real, genuine, authentic moments and conversations. So if I can't have that in LA, but I love the beach, so that may push me over.
Well, the beach is something. I get it. Okay, let's talk about the groundbreaking series about him and Eli. Can you tell, was Eli the first series you did, or was it about him?
Yeah, Raising Eli was the first series that I
So,
did. And it was just it was an incredible experience at the time. This was before Pose. This was before P Valley. This was, really all we had prior
mhm.
to these new web series was Noah's Ark. So the experience was great. I do feel like now with Raising Eli and About Him that I made decisions around being more, more provocative, that I thought that that's what you had to do. It wasn't necessarily what I really wanted to do. And I think that there are a lot of people in the web series world who can kind of attest to that, where you have the directors or producers saying, well, you need to show your body, you need to take off your clothes and stuff like that, because that's what's going to really
Uh-huh.
get people's attention. But we see now that people are really interested in the talent and stories involving those individuals, and that did serve its purpose at the time. But I think that there should be a maturing with whatever you're doing on your life path.
Hmm. You know, I saw a video of you on YouTube. You were discussing about him, and you made a statement, Chris, that made me chuckle. And you said this about Armani, who you played Armani,
Yeah.
who was the boyfriend of the lead character. And it piqued my interest. You said, and I quote, Armani is definitely a lot more masculine than I am. I'm kind of a whatever you get what I'm feeling it kind of person, end quote. Tell us about that.
Um, I definitely felt like I had to butcher it up. There was times I went to an audition and I'm like, I'm just trying to just go in there with what I'm thinking. And they're like, no, 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 like this character is totally this way. And I understand because I'm 6'3", I have an athletic build. So that part of the casting thing is that they want me to show up that way. But I, like anybody, prefer to be able to just be myself and have that work for me. Um, and so I definitely started to get tired of that, because you are enough. You are enough just the way that you are. And no matter if it's a job, a relationship, or an acting role, you shouldn't have to change who you are to tell that story. Scripts and films are and actors, they're meant to our job is to show and reveal who we would become in that situation if those circumstances were happening to us, and to have the vulnerability to allow the audience to see what that performance looks like if those circumstances were real for you. And I think within each individual, we do have a spectrum that we can move about on, sides of femininity or masculinity. Um, but I think that there are limits for particular people, just like how a singer has a particular range that they can sing notes in. You don't want to go outside of that range, or you're going to be pushing it, or it's going to be uncomfortable for you and possibly the viewer. So,
Mm, okay, that makes sense. You work with Robin Givens in About Him. What was it like to work with her? I mean, inquiring minds want to know.
well, I thought it was. it was amazing to see her process. She picked up her line so quickly. She really seemed like she just got the point of view from each particular, point, and she was able to pick them up really quickly. The thing that for me was most interesting about working with her and being around her, because that was my first role, was being able to see that she's not that much different than me. You think that these people, because they're on screen, that these mystical versions of humans when they're just like everybody else.
Hmm.
And that, being around her, seeing her laugh and joke and talk to people behind the scenes and just be a regular human being was one of the things that actually gave me the confidence to say that I could do this too.
Wow. Got it. Well, congratulations on receiving positive buzz about both Raising Eli and About Him. So, Chris, what are the important takeaways from both web series? What specific impact have they had on gay SGL life and culture?
I really think being able to represent us has so much power when people can just get a representation of themselves and see somebody out there doing what they have imagined themselves doing. It gives them the confidence. It gives them somebody that they can say, this is who I want to be like, or that person told my story. So there's that healing element to it. And then there's that calling element to it where people are like, now I feel compelled. I have some credibility behind what my goal is because look at these people out here and that person actually kind of looks like me. And so that creates an impact. And then at the time that it came out, I would argue to say that it definitely had its hand in play for a lot of the series that started to come out after that with Pose and stuff like About Him, particularly season one, had an insane number of views. I feel like so many people were talking about him, and people started to see that there's an audience, there's a bandwidth for it, and it's now I believe that was the first time that the ball got rolling to where now we're seeing so many same gender loving black queer individuals really getting the shine and respect that they deserve just as much as anybody else.
So, actually, both series were probably indispensable for what was to come. It was like you guys set the foundation
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
Very, very, very good. Okay. Before we delve into ATL Homicide and Raising Dion, let's swing to your singer songwriter life. You've got a single out titled Ghosted.
Yes.
Tell our listeners the interesting story behind you penning it.
Yes. So I was actually talking to a guy for about 2 weeks and everything was going great. And I really liked him. And then he just disappeared and he just stopped responding. He didn't answer the phone call,
Mm.
text messages. And so, for those of you who don't know, that's what ghosting is. And it was,
We know.
yeah. So, uh,
We know.
listen, it's real.
I know.
But I had to figure out what I was going to do with those feelings. And so I found music to be such a great medium because it's so abstract and you can say so many different things, different ways. And so I was putting on some different beats and I was actually on the way to pick up some Chinese food in the car. I had a beat playing and most of the song just came right out. I think I just had to adjust the second verse and then that was the song. And that song has literally changed my life in so many different
Really?
ways. Yes. Um,
How so? How so?
oh my gosh. The person who I recorded with, now that I'm doing film, because I've shown up differently. You when you show up differently, you can participate with people differently. But because we established that relationship, he was able to. He let me get some portfolio footage of a property that he manages. So that's come back around, to serve me well. When I did my music video, the cinematographer asked me how did I want to put it together, and I just cranked that thing out like I was just going by the timestamp, and it came together so beautifully. I was like, you know what? I should go to film school. So I decided to go to film school. Um, then the film was ended up on the soundtrack of this film by Bobby Huntley, who's a really successful, independent Atlanta filmmaker, and the film's called Connect, and that ended up in so many different film festivals out Amsterdam and New York and Miami and in LA. And because my song was in that film, me and my sister decided to go to LA to go to the premiere. So it was my first time going to LA, you know,
Ah,
because of this
okay.
song. And it's just established relationships on the music side that have also come back to help on the production side of things, because I had that song and that music video to do. The person who did it, my friend Jasmine, she's an incredibly talented individual. She can pretty much do anything. She's got clothing lines. She can edit. She sings, she raps, she mixes music amazingly. So when my best friend came here, I was able to introduce Jasmine to her, and now my best friend is out creating music, and it's affecting and changing her life, and then Jasmine's also helped me with my business and whatnot. So it just shows you the power of, and that's just some of the things, but it just shows you the power of just when you just want to do something, and when you do it, how that seed can really grow into so many different branches and add so much value back to you.
My brother, you are beyond inspirational. No doubt. Love it. Okay, let's swing back to acting. Tell us all about your roles in ATL Homicide and Raising Dion on Netflix, which I absolutely love.
Yeah. So ATL Homicide was the first role that I booked for TV. And
Ah,
it
okay.
was, oh, it was just incredible just how it came to be, because I've been acting and doing the web series stuff for a long time. And I was making so much haste around trying to get in front of so many cameras. And I started to realize that, like, it's not about how many opportunities you have, it's about having the right ones. And,
Mhm.
I got to a place where I'm training in my acting, I'm going to my acting coach and everything weekly. I'm really investing in my acting. And I did a really, well, I didn't, an audition that I didn't think was that great, this one particular day. And I went in my car and I sat down. I just started crying, just an ugly cry. And I was just praying to God. I'm like, if this is not what you want me to do, then I won't do it. Like, let me
Mhm.
know. I already sacrificed everything. And so then the next day, I booked ATL Homicide. And yeah,
Wow.
and then that role changed my life as well.
Yeah.
That was,
Now,
go ahead.
how did that role, specifically, how did that role change your life?
So the timing of when I had booked that, I was in line to be promoted at the restaurant that I was working at. And
Ah.
because I needed to request off, and it was just because I was a shift leader, there was this all this like pushback with like you can't get off these 2 days. But because I always showed up on time and always did a great job, I could afford to call out, and so that's just what I did. Because everybody knew what I'm about, what I'm here for, why I made the
Right.
decision to move here. So I had an amazing time filming. I felt like I did such a great job. I didn't feel pushed out of my flow. I was just vibrating so high the weekend that I was filming in Tennessee. So I literally prayed to God, and I'm like, look, I know I'm in this season of promotion, but I don't know if this is the promotion for me. Send me a sign. So literally the next the day after the next one I got back, I got my sign. I had went to work and they had made a mistake on my schedule. And because of that
Oh,
mistake, one of the managers was being very petty and just having an, just not treating me the right way. And so, you know, now the shifts are changing from lunch to dinner, and I want to be on the other side of the restaurant because there was a memorial for my friend who actually used to work there and he took his
oh,
life. Yeah.
oh, wow.
Yeah, so I asked if I could manage that side of the restaurant, and she said, "No, I'm going to be there for the rest of the night." So if there's one time you got to pull your cards, that was the one time. So I said, "Why are you treating me like this? I'm in this position because I've done such a great job." Basically let her know I have to reconsider if I really even want this promotion. So I sat down the next day with my GM, who we still love each other so much to this day, and I sat down and told her, I'm not going to take the promotion. And literally, I got into bartending training, did that for 2 weeks, passed the test, but never ended up on the bar because the coronavirus hit and
Ooh, yeah.
everybody lost their jobs. But the managers continued to work at the restaurant and do takeout and work at the bar. And so if I had ended up in that manager position, I would have continued to work in the restaurant. But because I got laid off, that had started a series of events that snowballed into the production company, into me going to SCAD, me filming my music video, me booking Netflix. So yeah.
It is so, you know what? It can be weirdly amazing how things happen.
Yeah.
And you think it's a loss, but it turns out to be the biggest benefit, the biggest thing that leads to even bigger things.
And it does.
Wow.
We live in a universe of relativity. It's nothing is inherently good or bad. It is. And how you pin your story or how you react to a situation is what ultimately, people say it's not about what happens, but what you do with what happens. Even some of the greatest plays when we watch sports and football, when that person goes for the catch and they miss it with the right hand, but they catch it with the left, they arguably actually made a mistake, but it's because of their recovery that we deem it to be so amazing.
Ah, yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, okay, Mr. Actor, I want to know about Netflix,
Yeah.
Raising Dion, one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
First of all, tell me the audition process.
Well, another series of just divine alignment. At this particular time, my best friend had just moved in not too long ago. Again, we've known each other since high school, so she keeps alive in me a very youthful part of me, as well as I do in her. And so, one of the things you want to do with uh, auditioning is you want to make sure that the person that you're auditioning with makes you feel really comfortable. And there's no one who makes me more, feel a whole lot more comfortable than my best friend. And so at this point in time, I've done so many auditions that I don't think about, well, what do I need to do to get the part? I'm just thinking about, let me make sure I hit all the beats they asked me to, but I'm just gonna have fun.
Ah,
I'm just gonna have fun. I'm not gonna worry about it. Because what I had to get to a place where when I look back at the audition, if I thought that I did a great job, that's enough. You can't be worrying about if everybody else feels like you have to be able to track your own success and be able to reward yourself. It can't be supplemented to you from some outside source. So we just have fun. We just have fun. And I sent off my audition and I didn't worry about it. My agent sent it to me, sent it back, and I was good. And then I was in my best friend's room and I was just talking to her, and she was like, "So what happened with the audition that you had for Netflix?" I said, "Oh, I'm not worried about it.
okay.
Literally, I walked back out of her room and looked at my phone, and I had got an email from my
Mm.
agent who said, "You're on hold for Raising Dion." And then I ended up booking it, and It was just, I mean, the whole process was incredible to really see all of the moving parts, behind such a big production and the time that they took to to uh to build my costume, to uh I had a moment where I fell off a bird scooter and I hurt my hand and I was this close to losing the role because I was in a cast.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was in a cast for 6 weeks. And
Oh
yeah,
man. Okay.
but I talked to my agents about it, I prayed about it, and they ended up pushing my filming date back when they could have recast somebody else. So, yeah,
First of all, Chris, that was a miracle right there.
yeah.
You know, truly, because they could have recasted it. Now, for those of us who don't know, give us the premise of Raising Dion and tell us a little bit about the role that you play.
Okay. So with the show Racing Dion, it's about the son of Michael B. Jordan. Well, his character is he's has superpowers, and his mom is trying to figure out how to raise him. So they go through a series of events that involve kind of wrangling in his powers and whatnot. And I come in on season 2, but I can't tell you. you're just gonna
What?
you're just gonna have to tune in
What?
and watch. Yeah,
Oh,
I
come
can't.
on now.
I can't tell you,
Okay.
you know, who I play or anything like that. But
Yeah, 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 yeah. All right. We can't get it out of you, right? No.
mm-mm.
When when does Raising Dion season 2 start?
It comes out 2022. I don't know the exact date yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's not out. So that's why I can't reveal any details around it. But it is, um, what can I say? Um, it's, it's amazing. It's gonna be bigger than what you expect. I'll say that much.
Well, since you say you can't tell us anything about it, you're going to have to come back to Wyatt
That's right.
after it airs so
Yeah.
we can talk about it.
Okay.
Now,
I would love to.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Now, okay, look, I'm impressed because you're both in front of and behind the camera, and that, bold, savvy moves. So give us the full Monty on your company, Resonance Productions.
Yeah, so Resonance Productions is a production company. Primarily, we do commercial um, filming projects. We do commercial real estate cinematography and photography, residential real estate photography and photography. We're just branching out into that. We're doing headshots soon. Primarily, we got to start doing short scenes for actors to help them provide footage on that. But we've been taking on bigger opportunities as they've been requested. And I'm a firm believer that when you get an opportunity that you feel like is bigger than you, then you rise to meet it. So, whatever I get the opportunity to do, I'm learning, I'm figuring it out, and getting my process together so I can go out and meet it. But two of my business partners were actually two people that I used to work with when I worked at the restaurant at Bar Taco. And this is just was literally like manifesting 101 because they may have been servers to the people working at the restaurant, but when you're able to really have vision and just see people for who they really are, and you build those types of connections, you have no idea where they may end up leading. Um, one of my business partners, Megs, we used to go to acting classes together. Went to workshops together. We tried to write a film before together. My other partner, Ro, she was a writer, or she's a writer. She's interested in directing, and now we're both in school at SCAD. And Megs, she does payroll and bookkeeping, and so that just all just started to just coalesce
Mhm.
and come together. And I really feel like I was pushed into it because I didn't have this aspiration to have a production company. I did want to create my own content. But what happened was around the time of the pandemic, right before the pandemic, me and my coworkers had this idea to do a really short series called Gratuity Not Included that we would film at our restaurant because we were all really good employees. We had the blessing of our manager, and were like, we can do this with everybody who works here. So we started arranging meetings and going to the library and working on ideas. And then once we lost all of our jobs, you know, we kept continue working on it because we thought we would get, the pandemic would come back or end in a couple weeks, and people started to fall off, but I started to learn some skills that maybe I hadn't given myself credit for, and I just kept saying like we can do this, we can figure this out, and just kept giving ideas and just kept finding solutions and just kept going for it because I was like, we're so close to doing it. That I don't want to let this go. I see what's all is going on, but I want to get this thing done. And, then people start saying, well, you're a leader, then you're a leader. And I was just like, oh, okay. Guess I'm a leader then, and I've been walking in that, and it's been,
Mhm.
it's been, of course, you have challenges, but everything comes to me a lot easier.
Mm.
Yeah. They say when your skill set meets the challenge, that's flow.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Nice, nice. Chris, what three critical pieces of advice would you give to aspiring talent?
I would say number one, um, really investigate who you are. Like really take the time to investigate who you are. Learn about yourself. Learn about what you're interested in. And that's going to take some time by yourself making decisions. Sometimes you make decisions based on social validation, based on who we're around, when that's just who we've been around. And they have a whole series of experiences that are informing them of their own opinions. And sometimes you can't always trust that. It doesn't mean
Mhm.
that your dreams can't come true just because the people around you are saying that they won't. If you learn that you really enjoy this, follow that happiness. Um, Number two would be to get in the region, get in the area. Whether that area is you leaving your hometown and moving somewhere else, or if it's just going into a studio or a karaoke bar, if you just get in the environment, something you're going to gain something from it. No doubt about it. Whether you go to a department store and you're walking around in, the urban section, the person's going to come up to you and ask her, you're looking for something. If you hang out around a kickball game long enough, somebody might invite you to play. If you're checking out the garments in the store, somebody's going to ask, can they help you? So being in the right area is really important. Living in DC was not a creative grounds, but living in Atlanta, things have taken off a lot more for me. And then
Mhm.
three, I would say you have to believe in something that is bigger than yourself. You have to have some belief in something that's bigger than yourself. You have to be able to trust life. If it's taking you all of your choices and decisions to arrive to the moments that you're now in, you don't need to be somewhere else. You don't need to have something else. What you need to do is find the value in those experiences, because if you would just imagine that every person or obstacle is this opportunity to reveal who you become, because you chose to be better, um, by it. That's having faith and having expectancy that this will ultimately still work out, even if it's not what I had expected it to be. As long as I continue to remain steadfast and morally positioned on the principles around love, they will express themselves later. You stay true to who you are, and having relationship for me is with God, and He knows my heart. He knows what I was trying to do. He knows where I was going with it. He knows what I was working with, whether I was ignorant to it or I wasn't. And but that I've seen so much proof of that coming through the path that I'm on. And so, yeah, definitely believing in something bigger than yourself, getting in the region of what you want, and taking the time to investigate really who you are.
Man, thank you for that. That is absolutely powerful. 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 So, what do you have on tap, Chris, for the rest of this year and going into 2022?
So, I have another film that's coming out called Waves. And this is,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
this is a short film, but it's a beautiful film. It's really some of my best acting, my best work. So that should be out later this year. And then really right now, I'm just building my production company uh and just walking the path because even the film Proud, that was my coming out letter story. I didn't seek to go out and get that produced, or the lady came to me after I did an interview and I talked about it and asked me, do I still have the letter, and turned it into it. So I just really, I don't know. I believe in my imagination. I believe in what's possible, and I'm just walking the path. And so, as far as acting wise, that's the one film that I have that's still coming out. But I'll be back
Are you?
out there. Mhm.
I believe I kind of lost you right
Oh,
there.
can you hear me now?
Would you Would you mind repeating? Now I can. Would you mind repeating your previous sentences, the last few? Because we kind of sort of
Yeah, 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 yeah.
lost each other there.
So I have one more film coming out called Waves, which is some of my best
Mm-hmm.
work yet, and I have some more music that I'm working on. Me and my best friend working on some more music that'll be out, and then I have really some opportunities lined up for my production company that are going to take that to the next level. And one of the reasons I wanted to get into production was because I didn't want to be dependent on anybody else's yes or no when it came to the fact that I believe I'm a storyteller. You know, being
Absolutely.
yeah, being queer, sometimes you walk into rooms and these scripts were written by people who don't live our experiences, and they have a caricature or a stereotyped version of who we are. And I think it's best that we're in a position to be able to dictate and tell our stories. And so that's what I ultimately want to do. Yeah.
You're absolutely right, Chris. And then being black and queer,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
there you go. So, how can us grown folk connect with you, contact you? Please give us all of your social media.
Sure. So my Instagram is at it's Chris June. So ITSCHRISJUNE on Instagram. You can follow my Facebook, Chris June on Facebook, and my production company's Instagram is RZNZ Productions. And then the website is www.rznzproductions.com.
I I got to get used to all of those alphabets.
I
Cool.
know, right?
First of all, Chris, I want to thank you for, you got a lot of them. That's cool. I want to first of all thank you for taking the time to be on Wyatt. This was such a powerful conversation. You gave us a lot to think about. You educated the hell out of us. And you've got to come back when you can tell us about Raising Dion.
I can't wait. I really can't wait. I mean, I'm just excited. I'm so excited to see this. I'm excited.
Yeah.
For what's to come. And I really appreciate you taking the time out to interview me. This was awesome. This was an amazing experience. And I can't wait to come back so that we can talk about Raising Dion and more.
You got it. Well, Mr. Chris June, thank you for stopping by Wyatt.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. So there you have it. You can find the official Wyatt podcast page on WyattEvans.com. And the official hashtag is Wyatt on Air. And if you want to be a guest on Wyatt, or you just have comments, email me at WyattOnAir@gmail.com. And you can follow me, Wyatt O'Brien Evans, your host, on Facebook.com/Wyatt O'Brien Evans, on Twitter at Mr. Woe, MISTERWOE, on Instagram at Mr. Wyatt O, MRWYATTO. And hey, be sure to check out my Nothing Can Tear Us Apart series of novels, the latest being Frenzy. I said Frenzy. And its predecessor, Rage, all at WyattEvans.com. So until next time, y'all, woof, goddammit, woof, woof, woof. I said, bark.